Book Club! Hey everyone, this is Dan from One Man Book Club. I want to share with you one of my all-time favorite young adult dystopian trilogies. This is Chaos Walking. Book 1 is called The Knife of Never Letting Go. Book 2 is called The Ask and the Answer. And Book 3 is called Monsters of Men. These 3 books were wonderfully written by Patrick Ness. Turns out 10 years is the perfect gap to reread my favorite books. I remember enough to know why I liked a book, but it might as well be the first time when it comes to remembering the details. Now, I read Chaos Walking first back in 2013. The characters are fantastic. The story, the world, it's epic. We're talking about future space pilgrims that land on a new world to start over, only to discover that on this world, men's, but not women's, thoughts can be heard by everyone, all the time, with no way to turn it off. That sounds noisy. Would that be enough to drive you crazy? Possibly. See what happened to the people in the book. The story is, after my second time, the second reread, the story is much more tragic than I remember. The good guys work really hard to be good guys, but terrible things happen over and over. The tragic was relentless, and you have to read through all 3 books plus the novellas, including the final novella called Snowscape, before you learn about how all of the hard finally ends in happy. Also, there's a lot more strong violence than I remember, too, from my first time reading through Chaos Walking. Back then, I said best for 14 and up, but 10 years ago, I wasn't a dad to a 14-year-old. Now that I've been a dad to 3 of them, with 3 more on deck, I'm moving my rating to 16 and up. But I'll just tell you what I thought of it after I read it the first time. I remember thinking to myself that, oddly enough, this book was published the same time as The Hunger Games, but nobody's ever heard of Chaos Walking. And it made me think that Patrick Ness must really, really hate Suzanne Collins, because both of these series, Chaos Walking, Hunger Games, are published about the same time. They both feature series about dystopian futures starring young people trying to overthrow oppressive leaders. Both sold film rights to Lionsgate Entertainment. Both are great. The biggest difference, though, Chaos Walking is better, much better. So why hasn't anyone heard of Chaos Walking? I really don't know. I'm about to do my part, though, to correct this gross injustice. For starters, let me just give you a few quotes from what people have said about Chaos Walking. Here's some things from Wikipedia. On the overall series, the Costa Prize judges said that they were convinced that this is a major achievement in the making, while The Guardian stated, I would press Patrick Ness's Chaos Walking Trilogy urgently on anyone at all. It is extraordinary. I agree, by the way. Publishers Weekly, in their review, called the series one of the most important works of young adult science fiction in recent years. Robert Dunbar wrote in The Guardian that the series will almost certainly come to be seen as one of the outstanding literary achievements of the present century, whether viewed as fiction for the young or for a wider readership. Now, some of these predictions have not come true, unfortunately. I wish it was. The Knife of Never Letting Go was received with near universal praise for its originality, and narration from critics such as Ian Chipman from Booklist and Megan Honing from the School Library Journal all had great things to say. It went on to win several awards and recognition, including the Guardian Award and the 2008 James Tiptree Jr. Award. Book 2, The Ask and the Answer, was also received well, with praises from Publishers Weekly, Children's Literature, and Kirkus Reviews, all noting the excellent plot and cast. It was named as one of the best young adult science fiction novels of the year by Publishers Weekly. Kirkus called the characters heartbreakingly real. They praised the questions brought up about the meaning of war and the price of peace. The book won the 2009 Costa Children's Fiction Prize and was recognized widely for its success. That was all book 2. Book 3, the third book, was received with greatly positive reviews as well. It won the 2011 Carnegie Medal. It was also nominated for the Arthur C. Clarke Award for Best Science Fiction Novel. Only the second time that a young adult novel made it on that short list. All 3 books actually have been shortlisted for the Carnegie Book Award. Convinced yet? Let's just ask Wikipedia what it thinks of the Hunger Games. Here it is. Hunger Games. Praised for the focus on the addictive quality of especially the first book and the action. John Green of the New York Times compared the Hunger Games with Scott Westerfield's Uglies series. Catching Fire was praised for improving upon the first book. That was it. Catching Fire was praised for improving upon the first book. Mockingjay was praised for its portrayal of violence, world building, and romantic intrigue. Okay, so not exactly gushing, is it, for Hunger Games? The Chaos Walking Trilogy, it makes people gush. Okay, how about some of my favorite quotes? We are the choices we make. That's from The Knife of Never Letting Go. Faith with proof is no faith at all. That's from The Ask and the Answer, book 2. Choices may be unbelievably hard, but they're never impossible. To say you have no choice is to release yourself from responsibility, and that is not how a person with integrity acts. That's from book 3, Monsters of Men. Also from book 3, it's not how we fall, it's how we get up again. Again, book 3, Monsters of Men. Fantastic quotes, so well written. I really, really loved it. Ready to give it a try? I'm not going to go recap the synopsis. I mean, I already said a little bit at the beginning of this review. You can go read anywhere the details. But here's what you need to know from me that you won't get anywhere else. 1, don't give up if you feel frustrated at the writing style after the first couple chapters. Patrick Ness uses his words as part of the story. And so his style feels a bit awkward at first. For example, some words are spelled phonetically because the main character, Todd, can't read. Also, 2, the books are full of stream of consciousness sentences that would earn an F if you tried to use them in English class. But it's intentional. Remember how I told you the thoughts of men are streaming out to everyone uncontrollably? So the author uses the words like that intentionally because it adds to the feeling of the story and endears you to the characters. Speaking of the characters in Chaos Walking are some of the best I've ever read. Every character from Todd to Viola, even down to the horses they ride, is powerful and flawed and full of meaning. All of the major players, Todd, Viola, the mayor, they're the major ones. There's no minor players though. Everyone is important. Many times I'll describe a book as character-driven or plot-driven, but it's not really both. But these books, Chaos Walking, actually is both. The endearing characters are living through a powerful story. And speaking of the story, I typically don't like first-person narration because it's so hard to get it right. But Chaos Walking is written entirely in first person, and it couldn't be any other way. It's what makes the story work, and I'm extremely, extremely impressed. Todd narrates the first book, Todd and Viola narrate the second book, and the third book is narrated by Todd, Viola, and one other special guest who I don't think I'll divulge, but just know that it works great. And speaking of great, read Chaos Walking. The Knife of Never Letting Go is the first book. For you parents out there, you'll want to know that there's the level of violence is greater, I think, than it was in the Hunger Games. Maybe equal to, because it's been a while since I read Hunger Games 2. There's a bit of PG-13 language, but not very much, no sex. Because of the violence specifically, I think all 3 books are best for kids that are 16 and up. But as you can tell, I am a huge fan of Chaos Walking. Again, book 1, The Knife of Never Letting Go. Happy reading, everyone.